Alright guys, welcome back from the lunch break. We have more commentary from the first Southeast Asian Go Congress live from the Asian Civilization Museum in Singapore. It is a quieter house now because some players have taken a lot of prizes from the ceremonies. The main tournament has just been finished. Hopefully everyone got something they liked. So we do have more stuff here from the auditorium, so we will be here until the end of December the 22nd. So we have more commentaries. Very great stuff today and tomorrow. So the Singaporean 7th title match will be taking place any moment now. You can follow those in the OGS. But more importantly, for this afternoon, we've got from in the words of our YouTube audience, pure undistilled gold from Mr. Michael Redmond, 9-dan professional.
Thank you. Hello.
Fan. Yeah, great to have you here once again.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yesterday we went over one of the games that was part of the theme. How AI affects professional play, and we've actually chosen an assortment of recent Japanese professional games. Some of these guys are multiple title holders even. We're gonna dive a bit more into that today. So it looks like the first game we have here that is featured will be a game between Ko Iso, 9-dan professional, and Chou, 9-dan professional, right?
Yes. And those are the Japanese pronunciations. So you have to give Japanese speakers the Chinese pronunciations.
Yes. For Chou is Zhang Xu. He's actually from Taiwan.
Yes.
We know that he actually captured the Meijin title last year. It was quite a miracle. And I think he also won the Agon Kiriyama Cup recently.
Yeah, fairly recently. So that's after he came back. He took a rest for a while, and then he came back and he started taking titles. So it's good.
Yeah, still a force to be reckoned with. And Ko Iso, of course, Huang Yizu, so 9-dan professional.
Okay. Yes.
Also from a player from Taiwan who's enjoyed a lot of success.
Yeah, so there are a number of Taiwanese who went to Japan to become professionals. So these are two. Ko Iso, a number of times he seemed to be trying to get to the top of the Japanese Go scene. And every time he would lose a few important games against Chou. In Ko's. When these two players play, they always get into a Ko.
But they're good friends with each other, right?
Obviously, yeah. But they get into big Ko's. And so he didn't seem to quite make it. I think Ko Iso is a player I like a lot. He's a bit unique in the way he plays the game and very hard to imitate. So he has his own distinct style. Very dangerous.
All right, I suppose we're gonna see a very exciting game here.
And so we start with white playing star points and black playing 3-4 points. Quite often, there's a lot of players now who used to play various styles and then are starting to like 3-4 points better because everyone jumps into the 3-3 point if you play the star point. So if they play the 3-4 point, then they don't have to worry about that. So there are some players who feel that way.
Myself, for example.
Okay. So black plays the big knight's move, the Simari, and this is pretty standard. After AIs, you get bad scores if you play any kind of pincer. Maybe the only one that works to a certain degree is this pincer. So there's some people experimenting with this unusual pincer. It wasn't around before very much, but actually there was an AlphaGo game, one of the self-played games that had this.
Yeah, it looks strange.
It looks strange, yeah. But the AIs don't seem to like this pincer very much. This was the favorite pincer before. So black plays this. This seems to give the best scores.
Yeah, also very simple. Right?
It's very simple, yeah. And white plays the attachment, the approved move here. And Chou is white, and he's playing, according to the computer, you might say, he's playing the most popular moves. If black had played a 2-space corner enclosure here, which has also become very popular.
We saw this yesterday and the day before.
White would probably just play an extension here. And in this case, there's more room for white to be invading the corner. In fact, this is a position where if black plays an extension here, white almost always plays a placement there, just to see how black reacts. And usually black will just push on the star point, which means that at any point white can play a Kosumi here. And this is the new move that was inspired by AI programs, basically.
I think we saw this at the the World AI Weiqi Open as well. There were some of the games that featured this move.
Yes, and it's a really nice way for white to live in the corner. when white gets something like this. And black does not have a perfect shape on the outside. Just to give one example, the game was like this, and white played the attachment. And this is interesting because when this first was studied with AI, with computer programs, the standard move order was for black to play an Atari first, and white would connect. Black would come down, and then again, white would cut in the 3-3 point. So this is the way I learned it.
Yeah, and this happens a lot in amateur games as well.
Right.
People play this at the speed of light a lot.
And then black would have the choice of curling here once and capturing like this. And it would be safe for white to play something like this. Or black could capture like this, in which case white would curl around here. And so the move order actually has changed in 2 ways here. As the computers change their, what's that file? The network file.
Network
file. Yeah. As the computer's network files are changed probably daily, actually. They gradually change the way the computers suggest moves, sometimes.
Those are gigabytes of numbers, right, that the computers use to perform the calculations.
Right. And so the first difference is that the computers are having black go straight down here. And it's not really clear why this this different move order was necessary.
Yeah, I saw this with Liga 0 as well.
Because when white plays here, black's going to play here. And in reverse, it's like black could have played the Atari first.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this gives a better winning percentage. Maybe because white's going to play some stupid move at this point. Maybe.
Maybe it throws the opponent off.
Yeah, right, yeah. But strangely enough, this is the new move order. But in this game also, black started here, white connected, and black eventually played here. So it didn't make any difference. It was exactly the same shape. I don't really see how coming to this shape with this move order is better than playing it in the other order.
It's very subtle differences, right?
Yeah, it's just
if anything.
Order. Yeah, it's the same shape. So I'm not really paying attention to that move order, the difference. But the big difference is that this used to be the approved move. It was a suggested move. And black would have a choice here. If black curls around here, then black takes. In this variation, white does not really have the option of curling around here anymore. But in return for that, white has got this extra stone here and has a more solid shape when white extends on the side. So this would be the trade-off. So the assumption was that white is happy with this, because white has a nice solid shape on the side. But if white curls around here, the reason this is not so good anymore is because when black has securely captured that stone in the corner, black can play very forcefully in the middle of the board, and white's shape here is not so good. So when this kind of thing happens, for instance, if this was like this, it would be a completely different story when white would be able to look at a squeeze from the side, and it would be bad for black. Black would need one more move there.
Yeah, it looks like bad agi.
But when black is captured this way, white doesn't really have any forcing moves to speak of, and this exchange is good for black. It means that there's this weak point in white's wall. This is the shape move that really messes with white's shape. So white sort of has weak positions on both sides and nothing to look at in the corner. So this is the variation that white would, or in the original order, this is the variation that white would get into if black had taken from this side. Then white would be confident that white could curl around and push here, and it would be an overplay for black to play the honey. Because now, in this variation, white's getting a lot of, even if white just goes straight down, white's getting a lot of forcing moves from the side. And in a position like this would be playable for white, even if white just jumps along here. Now white's going to be okay on both sides. And eventually white can throw away 4 stones also, so it's not as if white has to hang on to everything. So when white cuts on the 3-3 point, a lot depends on which side black takes from. So if black takes from this side, white can curl around. If black curls around here, it's not advisable for white to curl around anymore. So basically this move order was giving the choice to black. In this case, white would just be playing an extension on the side. And I thought this was really good for white. But this seems to be the popular way for black to play in this position also. So the new order of moves, which is recently has been always now this is the first suggestion by computer programs. They've changed their mind.
So they don't cut first?
They don't cut first. And when white curls around here, what black's going to play here, white is going to cut their in between. So like I forget, but I think white cuts now.
Isn't that the same shape?
No, it's different because, for instance, if we do something like this, white's not going. Yeah, white cuts now. So in this shape, when black curls around, black doesn't want to play this way because then white would get a forcing move here.
It's nice sentence, right?
If black plays here, then we get back into the variation where the hane was an overplay.
Exactly.
If black plays here, black's supposed to extend. If black would like to curl around and take here, then that would justify the hane.
And now it looks so good, right?
This would be good for black. But the problem is that when white cuts later, or at any point, curling around here is not going to be a forcing move. So when black tries curling around, we get into this complicated variation where black still has to add stones to the right side, and the cut here is a bit troublesome.
Yeah, it looks tough to handle.
This gets really, really complicated. So I'm going to leave it here. Anyone who really wants to, you could just try it in an actual game. It's going to be, all sorts of things are going to happen in this variation.
Do it in the final game of the tournament.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah. A bit scary, but exciting.
Yeah. So black extended. So the 3-3 cut can be coming at the best possible point. Once black is extended here, this is the move that white was worried about. So once black is extended here, now white cuts. And we have the option to revert to the previous variation. For instance, if black plays this way, now white's not going to push here. Because again, it would be the same thing. Black would play a hane, and white would not be able to fight this fight. So if black plays this way, then white's going to leave it now. And white is satisfied to have this exchange in, which gives white a fairly strong position here. And I think that maybe something on the side would be okay. Actually, white could actually play something on the upper side, which is also a big move.
I think that's actually what white played in the actual game as well.
Slightly different. Like in the game, so now it's okay for white to probe here because black is already extended. So white doesn't have to worry about this variation. White just stops pushing in that case. Are you following?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Am I making sense? Good. When black comes here, now again the pushing move is forcing. Now if black plays this way, again it's going to be trouble for black. When we get into this variation, it's still a lot of forcing moves that white's going to have from the side.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trouble. Like next if white plays here and plays here, it's going to be very painful for black.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's not as if black dies, but it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
And so again, once black is captured in this fashion, black has to extend. So this is a variation that is fairly well studied by most top players. And like a lot of players will have studied it using, well, for instance, Lila or some other AI. And so just about everyone knows that now the correct move for white is to play here.
So not the 3-space jump, right, but rather...
It's to play. This is the move that gives you a good score.
Okay.
Yeah. And it turns out that there's a whole bunch of moves that are only slightly worse than this. But by the way, Lila is giving white slightly better scores throughout this whole sequence. So the more moves we play, white's score is sort of inching up.
Yeah, at the moment it's actually I think 58%. Yeah, slightly good.
And this is the recommended move. But it turns out that any move in this area, there's a lot of moves in this area that have similar ratings. And then if you look at the upper left there, there's this move and this move, which are losing in points to this one. They're lower score. And like if you have Lila set to just show the top 3 moves or something like that, they eventually disappear. As it does the
so run for a while, but then
they
shift back to the right side.
Yeah, and this is always number 1. It's like it starts out being number 1 and it stays there. So everyone knows that. And so I was really surprised to see that Cho played this one.
Yeah, that was the one in the game, right?
Yeah, that's what he played in the game. This is not the mainline move. And I thought about it, and my decision about why he did that, because Cho really does use computers to study Go, is that the one reason would be that this is according to his style. He likes to play this way. And if we compare this move, which is also a move that one would think of, this seems to generally have a better score. At least it did with on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so partly it was Cho's style. Also, by playing a move that was not the recommended move, it's not the mainline move, he was avoiding his opponent's study. So like everyone knows this position, and everyone, Black will have a plan for this opening.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to continue maybe playing an approach move,
Yeah.
maybe playing some kind of an attachment. There's all sorts of moves that are suggested in this kind of position.
And you've mentioned that people can actually memorize up to like 80 moves, right, from their favorite opening.
I'm told that some people do. Yeah. I'm not saying that I do that. No.
Yeah.
And so he's avoiding that. He's avoiding the main line and diving into a variation that maybe his opponent has not studied so deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cho is like that. He sort of likes to play with things. He's sort of experimenting, and when he does that, he's a very very dangerous player, because he when he's enjoying the game a lot, he gets even stronger. He's sort of like a sports car. Like when he's in good mood, he's really good. But then when he goes wrong, no one can fix him.
Yeah, that's actually his style, right? He likes to be flexible and he likes to innovate.
So promptly, Koiso played the wrong move.
Yeah, I think actually that one was like -6% from here.
Yes, that's a big difference. So like White actually probably lost something like 1% or maybe a bit less.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, 1.2 maybe.
Okay, your computer agrees with me today.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was sort of worried. But yeah, White lost something like 1%. But this move loses, yeah, as you said, something like 6%. And that varies depending on the number of searches I found, but it's somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah.
And Black should have played here. White can play, and you know, this makes sense from the human viewpoint. This fits the logic that we use to decide where to play inside the side. When Black plays inside an area that seems to be dominated by White, Black will want to be close to the weaker White group.
Mm-hmm.
So playing here, and if White plays something like this, Black can play. It turns out this is the way to peek and curl around. White has bad shape, right? If Black plays here, Black's threatening to take in a snapback. Yeah. So White would play here maybe, and then Black can play here. And again, you might think this is the shape, but this is better because Black has all these forcing moves on the side. And so actually Black has a relatively strong group, and potential to attack White there with that wall is starting to look a bit heavy.
Yeah, somehow the 7-stone White group is weaker than the 3-stone group, right?
Yeah, I count 9 stones, but yeah.
Or nine stones, yeah.
9 stones.
Right now it's 9 stones.
Yeah, it was 7 stones before.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And so by playing away from his opponent's preparation, you might say, already Cho has scored some points. Another thing I found very interesting, I heard about the after-game discussion.
Really? Yeah. You're eavesdropping.
Yes. And Koiso was wondering how he got into trouble on the right side.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to have done nothing wrong.
Right. And, you know, the game sort of goes bad for him after this. But
I'm looking at the graph. It's a steady decline for him.
A steady decline for, well, it goes back. Sometimes Cho gives something back.
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah.
Small.
So he was thinking about it. He suggested, maybe I should have peeked, and then if White connects, Black can jump here. And this is again an example of Black sort of hanging onto the weak White group and playing towards the weaker group so that Black can attack that.
Make heavy.
Mm-hmm. And Cho declined to comment. He said that nowadays people just go home and they ask their computer. So you can do that if you really want to know. And that finished the after game.
Wait. So when he was asked the question, he didn't say anything?
Reply. He told Koiso to ask his computer. And he actually finished the after-game discussion. And so I looked it up with Leela, and Leela told me that this is even worse than the pincer that East Koiso played. It's even worse because White dodges that, and it's not a valid attack. Like even if Black is going to be a lot of work for Black to capture those 3 stones, and the territory here on the right is going to be White's. So it's not worth it. So that would be even easier. So I think Cho was hoping to maybe get another win in using the
Well, the thing though is that with AI reviews, right? I think previously we didn't have this. So when a lot of human players got together and talked about a game, there were always like different playing styles,
different opinions. Yes.
And so you get into arguments, and you never could find out who's.
And then, in Japan, the older, more honorable player, it was very difficult to contradict him.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're talking to someone who has a big title or something.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's like,
just
the agent.
When you think he's saying something crazy, but you'd have to shut up. And so, yeah, with a computer, we get an honest opinion every time. So it's very good.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good at resolving conflicts.
And I think the idea is that Koiso doesn't actually use computers very much, I don't think. He has his own ideas usually, and he studies on his own. So maybe he's not going to look it up. So that will be interesting. So White plays the extension from the weaker group. And although the side looks like it's open, and it is sort of open, it's worthwhile for White to play that. And actually Black cannot really get far into the White side because that corner there is not very strong. For instance, we have a kind of a potential coal-like situation if White plays a honey here.
Yeah. And
this could be bad. Like, I guess Black could escape with this, but Black's not going to save these stones on the side.
It's not very pleasant either to have to play this.
When this kind of thing happens, like these 3 stones, they're already dead as they stand. There's no way for Black to save those 3 stones. And so it's not really working for Black. So the best move for Black is to curl around here locally. So most of this, White does have some ice space. White probably would not, in this position, not yet, White would not answer it, maybe. White would probably play something on the outside. I don't know. I'm sort of guessing here. But Black's not going to play that anyway. But the point is that White has some ice space there, even though it looks like it's an open side.
Okay.
And you're asking the computer.
I was trying to.
Yeah. It didn't want to answer it, did it?
What's going on with people these days? Or bots?
Yeah.
They don't answer me.
Yeah. And so Black plays here. And so now we're sort of, we're in variation now that probably both players don't know very much about as far as the computer answer is concerned. I think Leela would like to jump here better than the move that Joe played. And so White plays here, and White plays here. So this sort of hard to understand combination.
Yeah, that was when I got super confused when I was relaying the game. I was like, "What's what?"
This is very, very sort of very much Cho's style. It's his style there. He's basically, if he can force Black to play this move, he's going to be very happy because it's a very clumpy shape here that Black is going to end up with. So the idea is he's trying to make it into a blob of Black stones.
Yeah.
And obviously that wouldn't happen if he played this first. So he's trying to make it as awkward a shape for Black as possible. So this kind of thing. And if that happens, he's going to be really happy. Disregarding of whether it's objectively good or bad for White.
You can see the pain from the opponent's face.
Well, yeah. Well, I can see the joy in Cho's face. And so Black plays this way, and White plays here. So it's pretty obvious that something is going on, but it's hard to really understand what exactly.
Yeah, not sure what's gonna happen after this.
The idea here is that if Black covers on the second line, this seems to be the natural move. White's going to push through here. So if Black connects on the 4th line, White will connect once. Black connects. White pushes against. And on the outside here, this is successful for White. Even if Black extends here, White's going to ignore that for the time being. And this side, Black is in trouble on this side. So the fact that Black can cut here maybe is not so important as the fact that these stones are in danger.
Right.
There's also the fact that it looks like Black can capture 3 White stones. But this is going to be a dead shape. Even if Black captures the 3 stones, it's not going to be a living shape.
There'll be only one eye.
Yeah, right? So Black has to worry about that. For instance, this kind of thing, it could be a bit uncomfortable for black. And you might notice that black has not yet captured those white stones in the center.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that black has to be worrying about in this variation. But just to go back a few moves.
Mm-hmm.
So this is connecting here is the variation I was just showing.
Yeah.
This is just sort of obeying orders. It's doing exactly what white is trying to force black to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
the perfect plan.
Right. So the tendency would be to try to play something different.
Right. To resist.
Yes. So white pushes through and comes here. Now we see the hane here, this move that white started with. It's working because without this, black would cut here and take in a ladder.
Ah, there's a ladder.
Yeah. So in this variation, there's no way for black to capture those white stones. So maybe black would play here, but black is still cut off. So this fight is going to favor white actually.
Yeah, seems like it almost doesn't work for white, but somehow it just does.
It just barely does. So black had trouble finding a good move, I suppose. And when the modern players have trouble finding a good move, they say they just jump into the 3-3 point. You know, I don't think Lila really liked this move very much, but you know, it's what people do when they're confused.
Yeah, it's minus 9%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, before that, it was kind of even because I mean, usually when we initiate a Alita instance, it gives like 53-54% for white.
Yeah.
So before that, it was like for 46-54, but after that, it was like 37-63.
Yeah. And my understanding, and this is going to continue, Lila is going to not like every move that is played on the left side of the board in the next something like 10 moves, because. And so my understanding of that is that this fight on the right is still super important. So Leo was suggesting moves like this on the right side to settle white's shape. That's after the 3-3 point is sort of settled.
Yeah.
And for black, I think it was playing this move anyway.
Yeah.
This seems to be the best local move, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
So the right side is still very hot. It's a hot spot, as you would say. But Nacho is playing here. So in this variation, they're both playing. You know, the computer programs don't like people who play in middle of sides anyway. They think that the corners are much more important. That's why they jump into the 3-3 point.
Yeah, there have been far, I think, fewer openings that are favored now with the third move on the side as well, right? So people just don't play on sides
like
anymore.
the Chinese opening, right?
Yeah.
I have a game with the Chinese opening.
When was the last time that happened?
It's one of the games I'm going to show you today.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we get into this thing.
Yeah.
Now, black is making a slight comeback in the fight here. White, as I was saying, the optimal move for white here is to play here. Then all of white's stones will be connected.
Yeah, that
was better. So in this variation, white is losing a little bit. But this peep here is well timed. When white gets this peep, it's very awkward for black to play here. So it's arguable that black should have just allowed white to play this good exchange. Like the exchange for this hane for black covering, locally it's a kikashi. It's a slight gain for white when black has to connect underneath because white can reduce the black territory.
Yeah.
But maybe black should have done that, I think, because when white peeps here, now black can play on this side. And this is much better than being forced to connect, actually. It's a big difference. Also, the fact that the corner is 100% alive. So, actually being able to peek now if black plays this, it's just so weak in the corner. Like white could push through here, and white could jump.
Yeah, Tsuji land.
Yeah, Tsuji land. Yeah, it's going to be bad for black.
Yeah.
So it's just uncomfortable for black. So black has to connect. So in this shape, like if we imagine white playing 2 moves in a row somehow, the corner is black's going to have to worry about stuff like this, and the corner is going to be forced. He's going to be forced to put another stone in.
Right.
So there's some weakness in the corner that would not be there if black had played this, answered the move. So there's a lot of extra value in the fact that black has left this and the fact that the peep is is going to be played. So I think actually maybe black should have just covered, although it is giving white a nice forcing move.
You're right, according to Lila.
Yeah. So white plays the peep, very well timed, and white plays a honey here.
Yeah.
So white has established some profit there, and what's most important is that white group is pretty much alive now. And this fight here is about even, and so that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
So black plays here, white extends, and then black. The large knight's move here.
Actually, white pushed once.
Oh yeah, when black played here, white pushed once. Yeah. And this is going to come. We're going to see why this is a good move later. White extended. So the large knight's move was not a secure connection. So black starts with this, and when white sticks out like that, black can put a stone in.
Yeah, I think that was the design, right?
Yeah, right. It's a well, because later on white might just go after the two stones here. So by forcing white to, but if white does that here, that means that even if black just plays like this, now black's connection is all fixed.
Right.
Yeah. So that would, so he's waiting for white to play this aggressive move so that he can try stuff later in that area. And white jump. This is the move any human player would think is the best move.
Yeah, it seems natural, just running on the
I think actually Lila was suggesting to me to play here. And there is some reason to that because covering here is a very effective move. And there is some aji with the cut here, which is not going to work for black really yet. So that could be sort of bothering Lila a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not really working yet. So black pushes here, white cuts once. And we come to the decisive fight in the center of the board.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really major.
Now, this is a position where black has to choose which side to connect. And the game move was connecting here. And this move was suggested as better.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Connecting here is very, very scary.
Yeah, it feels almost wrong, right?
It's very scary.
You're exposing yourself to so many cutting points.
So this will happen.
Yeah.
And just to show you one example of what might happen, black pushes through here. We have a potential semi-eye happening here. But if white backs off, black will play here. And white has to connect here. Then black can connect here. And there's no way white's going to surround black here. So
he can't cover all that.
So this would just be pointless. Black would break through it. So white covers on the third line. And we're going to see white looking towards the corner now. And this is where, Lila gets really flaky because it doesn't really know whether black's alive or not. And it doesn't care. It doesn't care.
Maybe it's just not good at Sunego problems.
It doesn't care. But actually, black does need another move, so black plays here.
Sure.
And eventually, this is going to be forcing because white is threatening this famous tip. What's the name of this tip?
In Chinese or?
There's a Chinese name for it.
It's called a oil stealing rat or something.
The oil stealing rat.
Yeah, the oil stealing rat.
Yeah, its nose is on the floor.
Is there a name for in Chinese?
No, I only know that there was a Chinese name for
it.
Yeah. And when black breaks that,
it's almost as good as golden chicken standing on one leg. Yeah.
So white loses the semi. The point is that if white simply cuts, now black is going to win the semi. So that would be okay for black.
Right.
But if white starts here, if black backs off, white connects underneath, so it's dead. Only one eye.
It's the timing of that Kosumi.
So this is giving black a shortage of liberties. A very nice Tisuji. And white wins the semi. Black has no way to push.
Yeah.
So black would need to add another stone there. Maybe something like this.
Yeah, just to fix.
And then white would be playing something on the side, sacrificing these 3 stones, eventually capturing these 3 stones. And it's apparently okay for white, but this is kind of a position that for human players, it's sort of hard to evaluate who's gained more. Because both sides are sort of falling to pieces here.
Yeah, I think both players have taken a lot of damage from this sequence.
Yeah. So it's sort of hard to evaluate. But white's extra value in this group, all the pieces that are being captured by white, is pretty big, I guess. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
And the corner is being squeezed a lot, the black corner. So I think Lilo was saying that was okay for white, but again, this would be a very difficult variation to evaluate for humans. And of course, in an actual game, you have to imagine it all in your head.
Yeah.
And
You
so
can't just place stones.
and you have to worry about the semi here if white cuts. And I think that's the reason that Lilo is not playing this exchange, because without this exchange, black has some extra liberties. But you know, this kind of semi would be a headache too. Probably good for black though, and that's why white backed off. And then black plays here, and we get into this variation. So this is what black should have done. But as I was saying, it would be very, very scary in an actual game.
Yeah.
So in the game, black connects here.
Yeah. Immediately minus 15%.
White pushes through and cuts.
Yeah.
Now, however white cuts, white's going to have to back to return to the connection here. So if white cuts here, then black's going to get to cut white anyway, right? Either here or here. Maybe since it's a semi, black's going to start here. So white's cut off anyway. So it's good for white to be cutting on the outside, since white's getting cut off anyway. White cuts on the outside, black connects. Now white plays this move, which is a very good move. It's a splendid move. Usually you would think white has to connect here. And this locally, it just doesn't work. Like if black plays here, there's no time for white to connect because black captures the keystone.
Right.
That would be a disaster. But in actual practice, white can connect here, give black the 2 stones, and connect on this.
Even finish a sente, right?
It's dead.
Yeah.
Black is dead. So black doesn't have time to capture those 2 stones. So by pushing through here, later on white's going to take, since black cannot immediately take those 2 stones, white's going to be able to play this move and has filled black's liberties quickly. Whereas in this case, there would be an extra open black liberty. So pushing through here was a very nice move.
It's the details that matter. Right?
It's the details. One move difference is a big difference in a semi, in a race to capture. So now there's 2 ways black can cut, but they both end in gote. So like if black plays here, this is forcing, and white will get to this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's better for black to do it like he did in the game. He played from this side, and he cut this way. So it's the same situation, only black is going to capture slightly more.
Gives a few more stones, yeah.
And now we come to the famous stone pillar tesuji. Yeah? I'm sure everyone knows how to do it.
We could maybe ask someone from the audience.
They're also strong players. I don't think I think it would be pointless.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, they're so strong. So this is the stone pillar tesuji. I remember that AlphaGo missed this one when it was playing Lee Sedol.
Really?
Well, we all said that AlphaGo didn't know the stone pillar tesuji because it didn't play it. Or actually, Lee Sedol played it to capture some of AlphaGo's stones or something like that. Yeah, that's how I remember it. So we all said that AlphaGo doesn't know that tesuji.
But I'm sure they're happy about that. The guys at Google.
The people at Google were sort of upset with me. But maybe it did, AlphaGo, that was one of the games that AlphaGo won. So I think maybe it was the 4th game, or maybe the last one. I'm not sure.
AlphaGo lost the 4th game, so maybe it's one of the other games.
Maybe it's the 5th game, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So black has just captured this white group.
Yeah, it seems like if white takes, then
if white takes
Atari, right?
And that's what they did. And then if white connects, now black's going to win.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's so much casualty, right?
But when white plays here and what black captures, it turns out this was not so big.
Oh wow! Now it's 90% for white. Actually.
Well, black just took 6 white stones, but in the process, white captured 3 black stones. So the captures are only 3 to count.
Oh.
And so it's less than 10 points, much less than 10 points. The territory white has on the other side is much bigger.
Yeah, it looked impressive, right? By the end, it was.
I think white played maybe this one. And this one, yeah. The order of moves here doesn't really matter very much. But look at this white territory here. In a position where we thought maybe white had to connect here, white has just swallowed up all of those black stones together.
Amazing.
And it's looked like it's more than 20 points. It's huge territory. And black has these 4 stones in the center that didn't have anything to do with that semi that black just won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So black plays here, and so now Cho is happy, so he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing well too. And he plays here.
The trick is how to be happy when you just misread, for example, misread a ladder.
Yeah. So he just throws away the 2 stones. He doesn't need them.
Yeah.
And so this is a kind of a very computer-like way of playing it.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't care about the cutting stones because they're right next to a black group that is alive. And he's playing very solidly. After this, Cho just continues to play very, very solidly. And his winning percentage goes down a bit, but it never goes below 50.
Yeah. Usually you can see that from the graph, because the midpoint is like 50% when it's even, right? And if it's below that, then it's good for white.
Yeah. So he just sort of, and they played a few ko's afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to play their ko's.
Yeah.
Yeah. These 2 always play a ko. In this game, they played 2 ko's after this. Just for the sake of it, maybe.
I shouldn't make a pun, but is it the name?
Oh, koizo? Okay.
Sorry.
That was not intentional.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's go on to another game then.
Oh, sure. All right. Well, we were going to be cleaning the board just briefly. We'll take a few minutes break. This was pretty good stuff from Mr. Redmond so far. But of course, the session doesn't end here. What are we looking at the next game?
Let's see. What shall we do? What was the plan?
We'll improvise, right? Improvise. I'll give you a moment. Yeah.
I don't know. I have 4 games that I hope to do today. Yeah.
All right, let's do a random number generator.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do that. In the meantime, please don't go away. We'll be back with more commentary from Mr. Redmond. The fun continues after the break. Hey guys, we're back from the break. Thanks for waiting. We have another game review up and coming now. I think it's probably not going to be as long as the previous one. Right? But
probably not.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. And this game is actually we're still with Choyu. So on the topic of that,
one of my favorite players.
The guy who never answers anything in the review session.
Right, yeah. Well, he's very amusing when he does it too.
He's a nice guy in person, though.
Very
right?
nice.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
At least I would like to, get an answer if I ask him the time or the direction. Right? He would answer me.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. But we have a different opponent though. In this game, it was Ichigiri Ryo.
Ichiriki Ryo, yes.
Yes.
He's relatively young. I think he's actually still in university.
Mm-hmm.
A very gifted student, and his father is the president of this huge company, so it's sort of family business.
Mm-hmm. I heard.
And so he has to make a decision at some point whether he's going to be a Go player or to follow his father's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
So he has difficult choices there. And he seems to be good at just about everything he does.
So jealous.
Yeah. Well, it makes it difficult for him to choose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we have the same start points with Chou, and so up to this point,
it's completely the same opening.
Same opening. So he just plays start points with white, and actually, this is something that computer programs tend to do, and also it's been a valid strategy for players with white for a long time, before computers, because basically, since white has a komi, white wants to keep the game relatively pacific. So playing star points is simplifying things to a certain degree.
It was an easier time back then. Yeah. The only thing you could do was do approach, right? Do a simple small knights approach.
And so Ichiriki doesn't play this Shimari, he doesn't play this one. He dives into the 3/3 point immediately. And this is something the computer programs like to do. So he's with the fad right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually, it's not direction.
Yeah.
Actually, does it matter which way white belongs?
Well, the way they play the Joseki this time, it doesn't seem to matter that much. Like, there used to be a right side to cover and a wrong side to cover. But no one really knows anymore.
Yeah, I mean...
Because, like, for instance, in this Joseki, you can turn the wall around.
Yeah.
And have a wall on the other side. So, for instance, something like this could happen. A common Joseki that just about everyone knows how to play now.
Called the crucifix.
Yeah. And this way. Let's see. How is the ladder? Ladder probably favors black. When the ladder favors black, white might play something like that. And so now the wall is facing this way, so it's okay.
Even though white blocked from the other way.
So blocking on the wrong side does not necessarily mean anymore that white's wall is going to be facing in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So it's sort of ambiguous now.
Well, for us, it doesn't matter. It's because we that's not where we collapse in the game.
Yeah.
It's usually in the middle of the game with.
The same can be said of pros.
Yeah.
And so they get this is a relatively simple way for black to play. So when black slides, white is free to play away, and white plays here. So you can see that Ichiriki is sort of playing a very computer-like style here.
Yeah.
It's answering an approach move with the knight's move because the computer suggests that this is always a good move for white, so black is avoiding that. And looking at the whole position, black is making miai of the upper side and the right side. So white plays this move on the upper side. White could have played this on the right side. They're sort of miai, one or the other. Black's going to play one or the other. And some kind of pincer. So white plays this side and black pincers here. And white played the attachment here. I think white is supposed to be playing maybe something like this, This kind of move. Your computer agrees, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So moves like this are really difficult to follow up with.
And actually, even the fifth line move over there. Huh?
This one here. The meaning is very similar. Actually, white's going to jump in here fairly soon. If black plays something on the outside, white's going to jump in anyway. It's very difficult when you have a weak stone here to make one more weak group. But it's okay for a computer because the computer knows it doesn't mind. It doesn't mind whether they live or die anyway.
Right.
So one of those two groups can die and it can still be okay. So this was maybe not the optimal move, but this Joseki-like shape here where white plays the attachment and this shape I always thought it was bad for white because black is getting this nice territory here and white's wall is not all that secure. It doesn't seem to be as bad as I thought it was. I don't think the percentage at this point was moving around so much. This is the point where Cho played the extension here. Another way he could have played would be to push here and play the high. And the reason I say that is because, in this case, white might play high. The reason I say that is because when white played this extension, this knight move was a really big move also. So, but this is okay. It's still a pretty even game. White plays here, and now he's a very strong fighting player. He starts to attack. So black has played this move, which is reducing white's moyo and eyeing this wall here, which has no eyes, and also increasing black's potential on the right side. So this was a move with three purposes. It's a very efficient move. And black followed up with the peep here. A very strong attack against white. White connects, and black plays here. White pushes. And black is just going after this white wall. But actually, I think maybe black should have played here. This is really weird shape, but I worked this one out with Lila at some point. And then cover and curl around here. Very awkward shape, but you can see black is putting a lot of pressure on white. In the game, it wasn't apparently it wasn't so good for black when he covered here. White played a honey on top.
Minus 7%.
And we get this position where, hey, look, white's dead. You would think that this was a success for black. And every move, Cho is playing the recommended move, just about. There were variations for the cut on the fourth line, but he's just playing exactly like the computer would say. And nowadays, if you play the computer move, people are impressed. We used to make fun of you if you played the same move.
No, we're impressed. Now we're scared, right? Then we gotta check his pockets. We have to buy the airport security.
We look for the smartphone.
Metal detectors.
So it was still okay. This was actually, although white lost this group, white has a very nice position on the side, and I can see it looks like it's playable. So white plays once here, and this is where any old timer who studied before computers knows that if you play this move, you have to continue.
Yeah, it's like natural.
It's a
fall
natural
off.
flow. You might as well not have played it if you don't continue.
Yeah.
But there are many cases when the computer score doesn't agree. So in this case, Cho was being flexible because he thought that nowadays with computers, maybe it's better not to extend. It turns out that extending was the best move. So he was sort of pushed off track by this study with computers. Oh, really? Yeah. People aren't so sure anymore. Like if we had just sort of, you might say, relied on our instincts or what had been taught us, we would just know that you have to extend. Yeah. That's you get slapped in the face by your teacher if you don't do that, something like that. But we have computers now. We know that the old values are not always right. So Cho played here.
Yeah.
And he lost a few percentage points when Black played here.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, so Cho was not in his best form. Since I showed you a game before where he did really well.
Yeah.
So I decided to show you a game where he messed up also. Yeah. So he plays
balanced.
Now this is just a shape that you see a lot in this Joseki, but in this case it was a slow move. And it looks like a slow move.
Yeah.
Like if Black answers here, it's a bit of a kikashi. It's a slight, it strengthens White position on the side. But when Black has already played this move on the side, Black doesn't need to answer it. So in this case, it was slow. And I really like the move here that was suggested by Leela. Again, I got this move by Leela, but this is a move that I was eyeing anyway. Because this is the move that AlphaGo played. And it's a move that has survived the modernization.
The test of time.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's a really beautiful move in that, first of all, the next move that Black played here starts to build up the right side. So Black's building out into the center. So this is a kind of a key point in the whole game plan, which is reducing White's potential moyo on the upper side and expanding Black's moyo into the center of the board. So it's a key point. So people would be, old-fashioned people would be thinking of playing something around here, but actually this is much more effective. Like if White wasn't thinking of invading the right side anyway. So any way Black answers, and actually when White does this next, later on, if we get into this position, it's very effective when Black turns it around like this.
Oh wow.
Now White has played a hane on top of Black's head. So
that was like perfect placement.
Yeah. Black would never have pulled back. Like if we got the same variation and White played here afterwards, there's no way Black would play here immediately.
Exactly.
Black would play away from it a little bit. So it's very effective in that. So for instance, in this case, provided Black plays the hane underneath, that means Black would be pulling back here. So another forced exchange that's good for White. So White gets all these forced exchange. So Black sort of tends to want to play a hane to fight back. This way he hanes, White hanes this side.
Oh wow!
And this is just, there's no way this is not going to work. It's just automatic. Black cuts. There's a ladder here, and there's a cut here. If Black plays a hane on this side, White plays a hane on this side. So White has a good answer for whatever Black tries. This way White's getting a wall on the outside. These stones are not going to be stranded anymore. If Black eventually does capture these stones, it's going to be on a very small scale.
Yeah.
So this is working out fairly well for White. And as I told you, the score is good for White after this shape in the lower right anyway. I think the score is slightly better for White. Is my memory correct?
Yeah, I think, well actually after the capture, Black still has about 60%,
really?
according to my Leela, but yeah, it's definitely playable, safe to say that.
Okay. So White plays here, Black plays here. And this was a really cool move. It wasn't the suggested move.
Yeah.
But it's a nice shape. And White, where did White play? White played here.
I thought it was like relating on like a chess game when I saw that. Or White, Chinese chess game.
And again, White probably should have just escaped in the center. This probably wasn't so good because Black got sente with this exchange and then started to attack White in the center. So I guess we could go a bit further. This gets really exciting though. It gets really complicated, a bit messy. Let's just do a few more moves.
Okay.
White managed to get out, but you can see that Black is sort of leaning on white. Black has this forcing move. In the game, actually, white eventually cut. Did white immediately cut?
Yeah, I think so. White just cut right after.
Played a Hane here.
Or no, sorry, yeah, the Hane and then.
And black played here.
Yeah.
If white connects, black is probably planning on doing something like this to squeeze white.
Yeah.
But white actually came on this side.
Yeah, Atari.
And there's an issue with the attachment here, which will cut white off there. So white played here, and black broke to the center. And you can see this is a very worrying position for white. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And it turned out the whole white group died.
Yeah. That looks pretty big.
It's big. Yeah, it's a disaster. So that all started with white's Hane here, which should have been the attachment on the right side.
Is there any chance after that?
The fight white tried to live here, and it got into this complicated fight that I don't understand. So that's why I'm stopping my commentary at this point.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, we can tell from the graph though. I mean, never dropped below 80 after that. So this was like the opposite of the previous game. It's like a boom graph, you know. It never went it barely went below like 50% in the very beginning, but after that, it's been
in actual play, the fight on the right side is extremely complicated, and killing the white group is something that would actually be pretty difficult to execute. But Ichiriki actually managed to do it, so he's a strong fighter.
Yeah. So what's the main takeaway from this game?
Well, I'd say I was really interested in the variations here on the lower side, where white capturing two stones gave white a playable position, and the fact that even though Cho is a player who does a lot of studying with computers, he could go wrong with this relatively simple computer-generated joseki,
right?
By not playing the old-fashioned move, and then playing this shape that is coming up in our game so much, this shape here, but it was just a slow move in this particular board position.
I got it now. So the takeaway is listen to your sensei, right? Always follow.
Well, I think that my feeling is that Cho was sort of not trusting his instincts as an experienced Go player, and trying to do something that the computer would like.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really sure, so he was sort of doubting himself a little bit because the computers contradict us a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was a case where maybe he should have gone with his feelings, because it was not a characteristic move for Cho.
Yeah, and I think that's something we should be aware of as well, right? Oftentimes we copy a move from Lila Zero and we think, that's the percentage move, right?
Yeah.
But if we can't handle it,
position.
Yeah. Sometimes it could be very subtle differences, right?
Right. Yeah,
so we have to look at the surroundings. So.
All of these moves that the computers suggest to us, they, as far as the computer is concerned, they depend on the whole board position. So, if you're copying it locally, you're not necessarily playing the correct move on the whole board.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a pretty good game. Well, sometimes you have off days, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Okay. We'll just take a short break. Right now, we'll clear the board, and afterwards we'll come back with another game review. We have 2 more left. All right, guys. Welcome back from the break. We have 2 more games to go. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Stole that from a YouTuber. This game is between Murakawa Daisuke, the Judan title holder in Japan.
Judan.
Actually, he was here in Singapore as well a couple days ago.
Yes.
And Kyokagen, 8 dan, by the way, the Chinese name would be Xu Jiayuan.
Okay, yeah.
He's a player from Taiwan.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chinese is impossible. It's really hard. Right?
Okay. Well, I was sort of upset that I'd chosen this game because Murakawa lost it. And so then he came to Shanghai. I didn't realize, Singapore.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was going to be here. So I was afraid I was going to upset him. But now he's gone, so I can.
So he doesn't know. He doesn't know, right?
He's probably not going to watch it,
Okay. So, all right, great.
So okay, yeah. In any case, he'll be upset from a distance.
If anything, it's your words, not mine, right?
Yeah.
I'll let you do it.
So they get started, and black dives into the 3-3 point. So Kyokagen is also a player who likes to play the AI-induced moves. So he dives into the 3-3 point.
It probably helps him as well. He's risen to recent fame a bit. He actually challenged Yamayuta. Right?
Yes.
I think he took one title.
He took a title, and he's up there. He's up in the top of the Japanese scene. And he did say in an interview that it was his studying with AIs that enabled him to improve to that point.
Yeah, I think when he beat Iyama in the first time, it was like a 3-0 win as well. It's a whitewash.
Yeah. Well, he's a very strong fighting player.
Yeah.
So maybe he took Iyama by surprise.
All right. So actually, the same opening. Once again, duo 3-4.
So we get to see. You were talking about the openings that play on the side.
Yeah.
We get to see Muraoka playing a kind of a Chinese opening like position. This is very similar. This is the position of the Chinese opening, and we're going to see how computers like to deal with it because that's what Kyokagen did. So this is the Chinese opening position.
Yeah.
Very rare now. Like I think that most of the players who use computers to study would be playing something like this or something like this maybe.
Back then it was like this, the best thing since sliced bread, right?
So black plays a big shimari. You can see black is very much playing the computer style. And this kicking here is also a move that didn't used to be popular, but now it's very popular. And the knight's move also is a move that leaves some bad aji, but quite often this is the suggested move.
Right.
So it extends. And black plays this attachment. So actually, with the master version of AlphaGo and later versions of AlphaGo, we were seeing a lot of exciting stuff happening with the Chinese opening, because this is one of the moves that I think we saw sometimes.
Yeah, I think it
was
the first game of the self-play, right?
There was a game where black was, I forget whether it was black or white, but where stuff like this was happening. And it resembled, to me, a lot Oinbo Dosaku games, which were in the mid-17th century. And he was playing stuff like this. Obviously not the Chinese opening, but this was the most, I think this 3-space pincer was the most common pincer at that time. So you could often get into this kind of a shape anyway. And so and he was just crazy in that he would dodge around and throw away stones. In some ways very similar to the AIs that we have now. And there were some variations that Master was playing that very much resembled what Dosaku would play.
We should tell him about this, huh?
Yeah.
He would be very happy, actually.
He would be happy. He died about 300 years ago. But he didn't play this move, no. And so this is very often seen. It's a strange move, like if white plays here and connects, it's as if white had this position and black had played an approach and white had kicked and played here. And of course this exchange is bad for black. But the whole point is that it's okay for black because black wanted to play towards the right side. So black gets to play towards the right side and allows white to surround this area, which was already a strong area. It's okay for black. So we get into this variation where black plays a hana here, white cuts. And white plays here. So people used to think that black could cut in the corner. This is apparently not so good. This kind of thing would not be good enough for black because black's not really alive yet. And so white gets a lot of space on the right side. It's playable for white, I suppose. So black extends down. And we're seeing this a lot. This is a variation that I don't understand very well because to me it looks like black is just dead. So black doesn't really have time to keep on extending because white will extend here and these 3 stones will die.
Right. That's huge damage.
If black plays another move on this side, white just captures the 2 stones. That's easy too. So black plays a strong move here, and it's good for white to play the hana here, filling a liberty. That's very effective. Filling a liberty again. And black's dead. So white jumps.
Well, he just collapsed like that?
It's just dead, yeah. But I see this in a number of games.
Okay.
It seems to be good for white.
You would think so.
Yeah, I would think so. But people play it anyway. And I guess it's because their computers tell them to. And it's actually, some of the games are very close. And it's Kyokagen playing this as black. So you would assume he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But to me, it looks like black is just dead.
Yeah, like it's already a 75% for white now. Like, surely this must be.
So it didn't work. But then we have to go back to the first move. Like the whole sequence here was.
Yeah, let's go back. So.
Yeah. So it would have been okay for black to play away another time, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm just sort of amused by the fact that people are just sort of stumbling into this variation because they're playing moves that they've seen computers play. But it's not quite, maybe it's because of this white stone here, but it's not quite working. And this is not the one game in which this happened. By the way, white's jumped there. Let's just do this again. Both the white moves are must moves. They're the only moves.
Yeah.
And black cuts, white jumps. It turns out whether black clasps the one stone or plays a nice move, either way, white's going to play an Atari here and connect. And while you say white has a 75%.
Yeah, at this point.
This is, these percentages are a bit tricky. They don't really reflect on the number of points black or white is ahead. So it might be 75. Oh, you have that one too. Okay, okay.
She'll probably find out a bit later. Yeah.
I hate it when you can second guess me like that.
Well, but I think visually though, we should be able to tell, right? I mean,
it looks different. Yeah, it's still a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. So let's just get on with the game. Black jump.
Sure.
White plays the shape move here. It could have been better for white to push through here. This would have put more pressure on the black stones on the right side.
Yeah.
If white just goes out like this, the next move is going to be more forceful on the right side. So maybe it would have been better to push. The knight's move is better shape, but it's a bit softer. When we talk about the attack on black on the right. In this position, white would like to be able to black cut once first, didn't it? And white connected.
Yeah. And then the back joint.
Yeah. And so if white covers here, this is the strongest move.
Yeah.
But black can play here and cut.
Like they read ladder, right? Probably.
Yeah, it's a ladder kind of situation. Ladder favors black. So playing here and pushing is probably not so. It's probably not going to work. Black would probably, let's see, black would maybe extend. Yeah. So
and then there's the ladder, right?
Yeah, so white would have to back off anyway. The ladder is good for black. Yeah, the ladder's good for black.
Just that's done at
hitting this
stone, just helps, yeah.
So maybe white plays something like this. The problem with this variation is that black gets to live with center. So it's one that I would not choose because black's group on the side here is alive in Sente, and black is going to be able to attack white on the right side. Somehow Lilo thought that white could play this way, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
So I sort of like the move that that white played, which is just connecting like this.
Just fix.
And black rolled once.
Yeah.
And white extended, and then black played this. And here. So this is a nice tesuji to capture in a net, sort of.
Like
it's not really capturing. It's not really capturing. Like white could push through here and cut here. Black connects. White can capture these two stones, but it's pretty useless. It's a very small capture.
Yeah, also black is on the outside, right?
Black is going to surround the outside. So it's not really valuable for white to do that. So white just peeps once here and starts to surround the lower side. Right? It looks very natural.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of stuff starts to happen. So this is where it gets exciting.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot simpler if white had simply played here and maybe something on the side to make a nice side territory. This probably would have been good enough for white. Like white has captured these 5 stones, and white should be happy just to surround the side.
Yeah.
In the game, white played what looked a bit more efficient, and this amazing move came up. So this looks at first sight, this move just looks unreasonable.
Right. Because I mean, this does almost, well, at least it seems almost captured.
It looks almost like white can cut, but of course this would be bad because black can escape like this.
Wow.
That would be bad. Yeah, and white has to be careful of the semi. So that would be bad. White has to push through here eventually. So this is the game variation. White has to be careful of the semi-on here. Like if white just takes the one stone, white's going to lose stones on this side.
Yeah.
That would be a disaster.
It's even worse, actually.
Yeah. So white curls around underneath and then pushes on top. Now this looks very dangerous. Yeah, it looks very dangerous.
Not exciting. It's good for Twitch.
Let's see, what can black do if white plays something on the top? I don't really understand this. What do you think? Maybe here?
Yeah, seems like a move that would take away liberty.
Maybe here? But white can win the command. It's probably just that black can easily live on the side in this variation.
Because of the sente, right?
It's going to be forcing black to eventually make eyes. So that's probably how black's going to handle it. In the game, white played a honey underneath. So now definitely white is winning the semi. Even if we assume black is going to be solid on all sides, in this position white has 4 liberties and black has only 3. So the best black can do, white's going to win, still going to win by 1 move.
Yeah.
And black has to worry about his own liberties also. So black plays here. It looks like it's playable for white, but actually these 3 black stones are expendable. Black doesn't necessarily have to save them. So that's the whole idea. If white pushes through here, black's just well, they're dead, but black's happy to sacrifice.
Give them away.
Yeah, and these 3 stones are getting weak. Black might not even save those 5 stones immediately and play on the outside. You can see the lower left area here is getting pretty big.
Yeah. So
white did not do that, but played a kosumi on the outside. And this is gradually getting very complicated.
Yeah.
White plays here. It looks like there's a hole in black's wall, but black can cut here with sente. And I'm just showing you this game because it's really amusing. This is where I'm getting, it's really hard for me to understand.
Yeah. Somehow this worked, right, in the end, because you...
Black's dead.
Yeah.
And black's going to die again. Obviously white wins, right?
Okay, now I get why you were doing this game after he left.
yeah. Murdoch, I think he has a good winning percentage at this point.
Yeah, but okay, not overwhelmingly, but
not
still favorable.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly favorable.
So I don't know why black played here.
Hand of God. This must be.
I don't really understand the meaning of this move, but.
Oh, I know. When you have no idea what to do, Tanuki, play away.
Play an attachment.
Yeah. And feel good about it, right?
First of all, if black surrounds the white stones, white always has this capture here to save his stones. So there's no way for black to kill these white stones in the center. So even if black plays here, it's going to be pretty difficult for black to engineer something there, because whenever black wants to attack white in the center, black has to start with this protection before black attacks. It means white will have enough time to escape out into the center. So even if white answers here, I don't really know what black was trying to do. It's a mystery.
Yeah. I mean, if this is gonna die, that's already dead. Where does black catch up, right?
And he's probably not going to tell me either. So white ignored it.
What's with the Taiwanese players?
Yeah.
They never tell you anything.
And what did black? I think black played Atari.
Yeah.
And then black rolls. This is kind of a key point. And black jumps here, trying to extend his liberties. White plays here.
Yeah. Sente too.
And black plays this move. And I don't know why he didn't fill a liberty. That's another.
That's a mystery, right?
Yeah. It seems better to fill a liberty. Black's losing the semi by 1 move, so the more liberties you fill, the better. But he played here. And white played here. So obviously white's winning the semi.
And for some reason, the Kosumi was actually a higher percentage than the attachment that took away liberty.
Okay.
But nobody knows why.
White's winning, right?
Well, actually, not at this point, but I wonder if maybe
Does
they were stuck
Lila
with it.
realize that this black group is dead?
That's a good question. Actually, well, I was thinking of Canada earlier. Yeah, okay, Lila thinks that white has 61%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this was the exciting part of the game, and now it sort of goes downhill for white because I think Murakawa got a bit complacent, maybe,
Uh-huh.
and so it's a sad story for him.
I know that feeling. Like
Yeah.
you always sat in the chair and you're like, yep.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff happening for white. White could probably just play here to start with, and if black connects, white could play here. White could actually play this extension.
Wow.
Allow black to capture those two stones.
I mean, even this could be dead, right?
So black's dead here,
Yeah.
and black's dead here, and these stones are weak.
They're one move away from being captured, actually. Right?
They're not going to die. Yeah, well, yeah. If black leaves them, they're going to die.
Yeah.
So black has to escape. These white stones are connected to this dead black group, so they have no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Black doesn't really have any territory to speak of. And white will, after black runs away, white can easily escape with those two stones.
Right.
From the human viewpoint, this looks like an easy win for white.
Yeah, I mean, especially
everything is dead.
these...
Everything black tried to do is dead. So it's obviously good for white. And I think Murakawa maybe got a bit complacent, and he started playing fancy-looking moves.
Yeah.
Black plays a little Atari here.
It's showtime.
And extends. And suddenly white has to worry about a potential fight to capture with white's group in the center.
Yeah.
So white answered that. Black connects.
Oh.
And it's impossible to tell what white was trying to do because everything is completely failed.
That was a minus 25 right there. And then after this, yep.
Yeah, you can see the graph changing, can't you? It's obviously bad.
At one moment.
It's bad in the human context. You don't need a computer to tell you that it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible to tell what he was trying to do.
It's just surrounded, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the white stones are
a
dead
few more
now.
moves. It gets worse, Let's see, 107, 108. So he plays here. Okay, this is Tetsuji.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that when I was relaying. That.
And then black pulled back.
Yeah.
So white gets a living shape. Oh no, he didn't play there immediately. He played here.
Yeah, he cut first.
Oh, sorry.
So
another meaninglessly
meaningless
exchange.
And then black fixed.
And then this
way.
So white's struggling a little bit.
Actually, still not losing at this point, according to the percentages.
Black started with this.
Oh, actually here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Here, this didn't work. White's still winning the semi. Black covered. And at any point, Lila wants white to cut here. The local move.
Yeah.
Also, of course, the black group here in the center is weak. It's still playable for white. White, again, is playing very tight moves, very solid moves.
Yeah.
I get the impression that Murakawa thought he was winning.
As long as he lives, right?
Yeah, so he's just playing very defensively. And by the time he's finished living, he's going to be losing the game. So it's like this and like this. And again, Lila wants him to cut, but he plays here. And then black starts to build on.
Yeah, counterattack and that.
Where did he play?
The middle. So that's the one you said earlier, right? Black has.
So again, now white has 5 liberties.
Yeah.
This black group has, let's see, 6 liberties. So white does have to worry a little bit about a potential semi here.
Oh, he even fixed in the. Oh, actually, sorry, there was one Atari exchange earlier.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like this.
Yeah, and then white. Wait, white fixed.
So white extended his liberties. So now black's alive. And the upper side became a moyo, and after this it was just an easy win for black.
Yeah, at this point it's already 81% for black now, and after that never.
So that was a really disappointing. Like he overestimated his lead and misread somewhere. Obviously, it was obviously a miscalculation there also.
Yeah.
And he also thought he was far ahead, farther than he actually was. It's the kind of loss that hurts so much. So I was sort of hesitating to do it when he was here, but it's gone now. So Probably not much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So I felt free to do it.
Well, that's one lesson at the expense of another.
Well, everyone has this kind of experience where you thought you were winning, and you just sort of play very safely, and by the time you realize it, it's just hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens to just about everyone.
Yeah, and sometimes even when you've reached a favorable position, right? There can be uncertainty there. I mean, like the percentages we're seeing here, at least for Liga Zero, is like a confidence thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like for example, it's like 80% confident that's gonna win a game, right? We don't know the margin exactly, but it's feeling good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but then
humans are
that can change.
finding the other 20%.
Yeah.
So that was. It was a kind of a game that I could learn from. Because being complacent about a game is a mistake that happens so easily.
It's actually, I mean, even before AI, right? It's a talking point, that teachers share with students. You never really, just falter when you are ahead, right? You should also be alert. You should stay focused all the time.
You just play the best moves. Then it looks easy. Like if White had done it this way, then it would have looked like an easy win. So just a slight difference in the direction, a slight difference. Just playing the right move at a key point in the game. Yeah. Then he probably would have just sort of coasted to a win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, then we would have never had this casualty, right?
Everything. Black had died twice, so I guess White felt he had to die at least once to even things out. Yeah. It was appearing more normal, right? People probably didn't anticipate it.
Okay. A great comeback by Kyokagen, though. That was the fourth game we're gonna review in this mini-series. We do have one more game to go.
Yes.
Yeah, one more game to go, and after that, I do want to check in on the 7-on-10 match just during the break. So we'll update you guys on where that's going. So a brief word on the schedule. So for the final, it's going to be game one of the best of three. So tomorrow, it could finish inside 2 games, or it could be a final decider. So we will be bringing updates as we go on with the commentary here. All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back from a short break. This is the 5th and final Redmond's reviews then during this Congress. It's been a lot of fun. I highly recommend that you check out our videos, so our recording of this session. After the Congress is over, we'll try to edit those and upload to the AGA YouTube. Of course, that is US Go Web if you want to enter a keywords into the search. We do have a lot of content out on the YouTube channel, so it's not just stuff from this Congress. On a regular basis, we actually do other AlphaGo versus AlphaGo self-play matches and Redmond's reviews, which is a very, very popular series on the YouTube channel. So keep an eye on that. Of course, you can also find a link to that channel underneath the video player. So if you just scroll down, if you're watching right now on Twitch, you'll find a link to that. So one final game. Thought we would take a look at an occasion where Kyokagen wasn't feeling on top of the match, right?
Well, we saw a game where he did well, so now we're going to see a game where he didn't do so well. Yeah.
This is
just to balance things,
Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But we're going to go from the very beginning. Yama Yuta, of course. I think
the famous Yama. Yes.
Everybody knows he's the boss.
Yes. So Yama is black and Kyokagen is white.
Yeah.
And we get into this. This is again computer style opening where black plays the kick here, and if white plays some kind of an extension, black will be pressing here on the 5th line. So that's black's game plan, you might say. In the game, white played the kosumi here, and black got to play the pincer. And when black gets to play the pincer, this was played in when AlphaGo played the 60-game series against human players on the internet. Right. There were already some games that where it played, I think maybe just one game which was resembling this very much. And it seems that when black gets to play this pincer, it's okay for black. Yeah. White and black played one attachment.
And then white just pulled back.
The knight's move. This is very nice attack that black is getting here on the white group. And it's really actually pretty difficult to see how white could play a peep here and play something towards the side maybe, but it is a rather heavy group.
Yeah.
And so Kyokagen tried something different, and he played here.
Tanuki is always an option.
Yeah, and so if white plays something like this, and black, and we play maybe what looks like a normal joseki,
Right.
then white is sort of, looks like white's groups are sort of coming together. So it would be nice if white could make some territory on the left side. Black's probably not going to allow that. Maybe we're going to have a fight coming here. This would probably be the most normal way for white to continue. Or if white feels afraid of that, white could play high, and at least white would be getting a connection there. In the game, he plays an unusual move. Now this is a move that Goseigen liked.
Yeah.
Goseigen liked it because he liked to play the avalanche joseki. Goseigen invented a lot of variations of the avalanche joseki.
That's right. He actually, I think the inside turn or something, right?
Inside turn and all that.
Yeah.
He repeatedly invented new moves. So like there's the famous moves that he invented, and then some other moves that he was inventing along the way. So every time he played the avalanche joseki, he was sort of surprising his opponent with something new.
Well, actually, even the Niranzai opening, right? That was a product of a discussion with, I think, Kitani.
That was the new Fuseki thing, where
The
Goseigen was. They thought they had the same idea. Goseigen was mostly having the idea that you could finish the corner with one move, with a star point, or actually he liked to play the through 3-point also. So he had these ideas where you could play just one move in the corner, where most players at that time were playing the 3-4 point and then playing the corner closer. So he had that idea. Actually, Kitani was more excited about playing 3-5 points, 5-5 points, and unusual moves like that. So he was playing some crazy openings.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Goseigen liked to play the Nadare, the avalanche joseki.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the best idea in this case. So we get into this. The problem is that
they're doing it. Yeah.
So in this fight, that weak white group that white has up there is probably going to be a potential problem for white. So white cuts, comes down, black curls around. So this is one of the moves I think that Goseigen invented.
Yeah, the inside turn.
Yeah. Before that, it was the outside turn, or there was an attachment here, which was also a joseki. It's not quite as good as the turning move, though.
Okay.
White plays a cut here, and now, everyone who has been playing Go as a professional for several decades knows that you have to turn around here in the corner. White has to play here, forcing this, and then white can come down. This is the joseki sequence.
Yeah, that's the one in the books, right?
Everyone knows this one, and you have to play this. And every so often, someone comes along who forgets the order of moves. And plays there immediately, and black gets to capture the corner in one move. And everyone laughs at you when you do that. But Kyokagen did that. And it turned out that even if he plays the joseki move, it's going to be a difficult fight for white. So maybe it was already bad for white, because in this variation, you get something like this, for instance. This would be a standard variation for this joseki. You can see that white group over there and this white group that white has on the right side, they're both weak, and it's going to be trouble for white.
Yeah.
It's just a bad, it's already bad. This fight...
It doesn't help when you have two weak targets, right?
Well, maybe three.
Or, three.
Three is worse, yeah. So it's already bad for white. And it turns out, I don't think that the winning percentage playing this, so to speak, mistake, I don't think it really made that much difference. I'm not seeing a huge reaction from... It's not a huge reaction, So it's really funny, like usually if you forgot to play this move, it would be terrible. But since this joseki variation is not so good for white either, it turns out that playing the wrong order didn't really damage white that much. It was already a difficult position. And, I was thinking, these younger players, they're just studying with computers. They don't know the old joseki. Maybe I could beat Kyogagen if I played him an old joseki and stuff like that. But it didn't turn out. Maybe he did it on purpose, I guess. Because it's up to this point, white's strategy is actually it makes sense in a way. White's trying to connect up on the top, and it's just sacrificing everything. And when white has not played this exchange to the black on the outside, actually white has the option later. Actually, white's going to curl around here once and play here. White gets to squeeze from the side.
Yeah.
So white is trying to sacrifice everything on the right on a small scale. I think you forgot to play covering here later on. Like at
Yeah,
any
he didn't
point,
play this immediately.
yeah, at some point, white could have played curled around here, and this makes it really big. So this is going to be forcing, and so he could have played this at any point. Maybe it would have been a little better to play that. It's because it's going to be forcing for black too to play here.
Right.
And so actually, it turns out this is where white really messed up, because if white had played here and played here, very natural. You know, this is the way you usually escape. It still would have been fairly close. It would a reasonable fight.
Yeah, I mean, black has like points on the right side, but okay, yeah.
White has the potential on the rest.
Still plenty to fight for.
So white just connecting here would be simple enough. In the game, white pushed here and played here.
Oh.
And it's just cut off. It doesn't look like it worked.
What? Is he dead?
Is he dead? No, he doesn't die. Actually, I think that Lila was suggesting black played something like this, a more solid move. Yama got a bit fancy here, and it got very confusing.
Yeah. And then, black jumped.
So now, the question is, what if white pushes through?
Well, first of all, it's an empty triangle.
It's an empty triangle. White's trying to win the semi-item.
Well, okay, if black blocks.
Oh, black blocks. White cuts.
Yeah. And then you gotta do the double the twice Hane thing.
Oh,
right?
the twice Hane thing. Okay. The twice Hane thing.
I don't know what that's called. Oh, wait, is it broken?
It's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dead.
That's pretty dead.
Yeah. So what do you think black does? There's actually a tesuji here. A hidden tesuji. Okay, I'll put one stone down.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that.
I'll put another stone down.
And you got Atari, right?
Atari?
I think. Oh, no. Okay.
So black goes straight down. Yeah, you figured it out. So and white can play on this side somewhere.
And you gave it away with a totally different voice.
Yeah. And now black has an extra liberty, so black can win that semi.
Yeah.
So in this case, like if white tried to run away, now black would be capturing that whole group. So that's the idea here. Black does have that tesuji. So white did not immediately push through.
Yeah. And then, he pushed out.
And so there, black now plays the Hane.
Then, connect.
Yeah.
White pulls back.
And did he play this one too?
No. He just Hanes.
Okay. Hane?
Yeah. And then attach.
No,
I got it here.
And white attached here, right? And black played here. This is a very confusing fight.
Actually, no, he blocked, and then white cut. And then black took one with liberty. White's gonna push out now, and then black also comes out.
And black pushed through. And then white played here.
Yes. And then black Atari.
And actually white's making a comeback here.
Well, actually at this point it was looking good for him number wise.
And so now white had a plan here. White was going to the game move was white played an Atari on 2 stones.
Yeah.
Not the optimal move according to our computer, right?
Yeah, it's like minus 20%. Well, actually, okay, maybe he was thinking.
He had a plan. So black connects, obviously. White captures the 4 stones.
Right.
Black pushes through, very natural.
And we take it.
White takes the 4 stones. White has something good waiting to happen next. White can push through here. And because white has played this exchange, black is in a shortage of liberties. White
yeah.
Here. If black takes it, and it's going to be bad for black because white can play here and white can push through.
Ooh, nice.
And white can capture some stones. White can even start with this move and probably get the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that would be really good. Yeah. But of course, so obviously black has to connect on the other side. But this is good for white also, because white can capture here, and black is sort of cut off. So it's not
losing a lot of points.
Losing a lot of points. If white does get to cut black off, eventually there's the issue of this problem again. So it's still a problem for black. White can play something like this.
It's pretty nasty.
Black's going to lose again. So it means that black will eventually have to put a stone inside the black territory. So this would be a great success for white.
Because black would need to move, right?
Right, and without that Atari there, it's slightly different because now black can sacrifice the 2 stones when white starts to feel liberties. It's not going to be quite as forceful. So, for instance, if we have this, there's not really any way for white to follow up. White could peep and connect.
Yeah.
Black has 4 liberties, white only has 3. White's going to get the 2 stones, but it's not so important anymore.
He already has 4.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The important stones are captured. The 2 stones will be sacrificed. So it's not as good as it could be. So white plays an Atari first before he actually takes those stones off the board. So the plan was to play that Atari.
Yeah, and then it's like golden timing supposedly, right?
Golden timing. Black answers. White takes and captures and has that delicious afterplay. Play afterwards. So, what happened in the game? White ignored the 2 stone Atari and plays this Atari first. So, it would have been okay if black had pushed out, because then white would capture 2 stones.
And then they'll still be bad on the
that would be no problem. That would be okay for white. But this Atari, that's something that white has to answer, right? It's so big, capturing the 3 stones.
Yeah.
So, white extends. White connects. The big difference. White white had to extend here.
Yeah.
White wanted to play the Atari first and take the stones. So then white would have that on the right side. Since white has been forced to extend here, so we end up with this shape. Now when white pushes through here, black immediately squeezes.
Wow.
And nothing has happened. Nothing. There's nothing. It's very empty, no goodies left there.
Just because of that one stone difference, right?
Just the order of moves here. It changed everything. It looked so exciting for white, and now it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
In fact, this exchange, it turns out this exchange here, that 20% that white lost. This is the variation that Lila wanted white to play, right? Just playing capturing the 4 stones and maybe connecting. I forget. Connecting.
Yeah. Just capturing.
Just capturing. So now that 20% that white lost was by filling his own liberty, and because because it's not this position,
right?
Filling black's liberties is not accomplishing. So white actually, by playing this. What we thought was a clever move. White has filled his own liberties. That's going to change how the end game is played here, because black always has that squeeze to play. So it was a loss of a couple of points, maybe a point or so. And as far as Lilo is concerned, that 1 or 2 points that white just lost there is changing the winning percentage. So you can see how you can get a huge amount of winning percentage difference.
Right.
For just 1 or 2 points in some cases, and I guess this game was like that.
Well, and he got Gote too, right? Like we thought he was going to finish with Sente because black needed to move to fix the right side, but now black can play away.
And actually, this is one of I think it was a title match game, a super famous game.
And
I'm going to stop here because there's going to be it's really in this game where white has just lost 1 or 2 points, and Lilo thinks that makes a huge difference. There's going to be a lot of very, very complicated fighting that I don't fully understand. To me, it looks like black should be winning more, but it's probably a relatively close game. Black has all the territory, but white does have potential in the rest of the board. And the fighting after this was pretty exciting too.
Which you can check out, of course, because we do have the full Kifu. as
Well,
a
you
link
could
that
probably
posts it up.
find, annotated game records somewhere too.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how far I wanted to point out how like it was really interesting how you
Yeah.
saw this move, which was such a clever move, but when it didn't work, it turned out that was losing a lot.
So I suppose the takeaway here is sometimes 20%, right, could be a very small
20%.
difference.
I think in this case it probably meant, and people say that sometimes 20% means 2 points. And I think that it means, in this case, the amount White lost by playing this exchange too early was something like that.
Well, if it's the end game and you're a point ahead, right?
Well,
you
actually,
lose 2 points.
Just to get into, maybe I should be a bit more honest. Like in this position, when Black cannot play the squeeze here, Black is going to answer this way. It means that White can play here, and virtually something like this. So White has the potential capture here. So maybe it's a bit more than 2 points. It is actually there is a real difference there in the size of White's territory.
Definitely. Yeah, it's probably play the part later into the game as well. But of course, there's a lot more to come. So it's not like White. I mean, at least for us anyway, White hasn't like immediately lost the game, right? But
yeah. Even in weaker professional games, sometimes it doesn't make any difference if you lose about 5 points.
But that might not be a bad thing.
It's not a good thing, but yeah.
Yeah. It might make your opponent complacent, right?
Right. That happens too. Yeah.
So psychologically, it could be like plus 20% or something. Because we've seen this happen, right? Sometimes like when you're behind, it's easier to play, right? You're just gonna do your best, and then when you're ahead, you're just like, I got us in the back, and then
So in this game, the 2 points. That was one point I wanted to make. How a big percentage difference can actually mean something that to humans it wouldn't be so important, maybe. And also the way I was really interested in how Kyogagen seemed to make a mistake in the opening in the Joseki here, when it was maybe not a mistake. But it was interesting how he was not playing the correct Joseki move.
We're gonna finish this series now, but it's been a lot of fun, covering these 5 professional games. We have more content of the same sort, although there'll be more detailed. This is what we usually do actually on a regular basis, Redmond's reviews, where Mr. Redmond takes a look at some of his own games or draws inspiration from other professional matches. I suppose you're allowed to do your own game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
because you were part of it. But just to finish this series, because we're gonna go to another post-game commentary of the 7th title match after a slightly longer break. I do want to ask one final question, just on behalf of all the Go players out there, because we have readily available AI now. We can do this on our computers. It's like we can raise pet dinosaurs at home now. And then they're in the laboratory, but now we can all of us can do it. How should we study with AI?
Oh, that
how should we
person.
How should we react to these numbers? Because it's all about the percentages you mentioned here.
Well, especially in the opening, it's really confusing when you have moves that you want to play, but they seem to have a lower score than the moves that the computer wants you to play. And it turns out it doesn't really make all that difference. So you should choose the moves that you feel comfortable with, even if you lose a few percentage points. Because if you play moves that you don't like to play, if you're not used to the middle game that arises from that move, then you're going to play moves that lose a lot more later on. So I would advise people to choose the seki the opening they want to play, and then find the best follow-up and work that out with the computer.
So study your favorite opening.
Yeah,
right?
Even if it's not given a good score to start with, people make mistakes. That's sort of a definition of human players. They make mistakes in every game. And if you're playing a game that you're comfortable with, you're less likely to make game-losing mistakes.
Exactly.
And so I would advise people to play the opening they like, and they can study that because you can you can set up that position in the computer, and it will give you percentage for the best moves. So you can get ideas for the middle game that will be closer to what you like to play if it's a opening that you're used to playing. So that's what and then in the middle game, middle games positions don't really repeat themselves. because every game is unique.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you can memorize.
There ain't no Josekis.
But you can get a lot of inspiration by, for instance, playing against the AI and being amazed by some of the moves it plays, or just having it play itself or another AI, or just asking it questions in the middle game. There's a lot of moves that will be very surprising and very convincing when you work them out. And so just figuring that out, it's not something that you can memorize and use in the next game, because obviously you're going to be playing a different game every time. But you can get inspiration and get new ideas from the shapes. So it's the middle game, you can learn that way. In the end game, it's a bit more tricky because the computer doesn't always play what I would call the correct moves. So it's more difficult to learn the end game from most of the computer programs.
I'm reminded of a quote from Lisa Low, actually. I think when he was interviewed about how he goes about his business, he said once that, like, actually he's just trying to play to an even position, like in the very beginning. Of course, he has like an orthodox Fuseki style as well. But he says, yeah, he's trying to maintain even position, right, playable positions. But you know, it's really like for us anyway, it's about the mid game stuff, like because unless you make a blunder, like in the Fuseki, right, there'll be plenty of moves to be worked out. So it's a marathon, not sprint, right? So
Lee Sedol was always a very strong middle game player. So he could start with being behind, and he would still maybe win in middle game. He was a very strong fighting player.
Yeah.
And as in general, you can't expect to start with a lead, because if both players play correctly, supposedly it's an even game, it's an even fight. So the correct idea is to try to play the best moves objectively and not to be greedy.
Yeah.
Because usually the first mistake is when someone is greedy. That's the most common type of mistake.
It's gonna take a while of correcting for us amateur players to not play greedy moves, but but the same applies to learning as well. So you can learn a lot from AIs, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? It's the same code applies. So we wish you the best of luck with learning from AIs, and hopefully some of our insights from today have helped you somewhat, more or less. So that's the end of the review series. Thank you so much for watching. That's not the end of the afternoon broadcast, because we have a game to review, and this time it's going to be a different tempo. It's going to be a human game.
A human game.
Yes.
Yeah.
A human game.
These are humans.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Somehow my mind was still in that 5.5 hour.
Maybe you think Kyokagen was a robot.
Well, we talked about a lot of people who didn't like answer questions in reviews, right? So that's something.
A bit strange, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we have more to cover. We'll see you soon. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the first Southeast Asia Go Congress live from the Asian Civilization Museum, live in Singapore. So we just had a very good review series. So that's pretty much golden content there for you. You can check out those recorded videos on Twitch. It'll be saved for about 60 days, and afterwards we'll post them on the AJ official YouTube. But anyway, as you may have heard from the introductions, we will be reviewing now the third place game of the Singapore and 7th non-title match. Now, this is a tournament that has been going on for a couple of years and involves some of the Singapore's best players. So the final will be a best of 3, and the first game is already won by Mr. Lin Youzhi, so 6th dan amateur. So they will be playing game 2 and 3, and hopefully game 3, if we get to a 1-1 finish, will be very exciting. They'll be playing that tomorrow. Of course, the third place match has already been won by Mr. Lu Yong, so he is officially the third place for this year. So we'll congratulate both players for that. Anyway, we did see the game a while ago, so I think there were a lot of commentary-worthy moments in this match. So just a quick well played to both players, and we'll hand it off to Mr. Michael Redmond.
Okay, yeah. So let's get into the game then.
Sure. We're going to take it from the top. Of course, if you have any questions, for those who just walked in, you can feel free to ask us. Actually, in both Chinese and English, so we will be answering them, of course. So in this game, we've been told that Yu Qi is actually the youngest contender for a major title this year. He's only 9 years of age. I'm pretty sure I wasn't this good when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't play Go at 9, so yeah. obviously.
Oh, then maybe I was better than you at age
Maybe you were
9.
better than me, yeah.
What happened?
Somewhere you went
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, all went downhill.
As EMO would say, you should have played with your left hand.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would go back in time and tell my 9-year-old self to practice more. Okay, so pretty straightforward opening. We see this a lot in AI style.
Yes, playing that one Kakari and then diving into the 3 point is a pattern that we see sometimes. Yes.
So black takes a corner.
It's pretty normal, I guess, for nowadays. White plays a Kakari.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've been saying throughout all of my reviews during this Congress, pressing here on the 5th line is a very big move. So I would suggest that black should probably play something like this.
Yeah.
Or like this. Like this could be done too. But even if black just plays the knight's move, I think white's in this opening is going to play something on the right side. So for instance, something like this. And then if black wants to pincer here, in the game I think black pincered immediately, but if black wants to pincer, black probably should play this exchange first. Just to get a high position here so that black can have potential to attack. It's not really a big attack that black has here, but just the shadow of a potential attack is enough to make a big difference in this opening.
So in other words, it can be regarded as almost like a pseudo sente move if white approaches low, right? It will be a very strong candidate for black to answer.
If black gets to play a pincer here, that would be okay for black also.
Yeah. Okay, so black.
So in the game, black plays immediately. White immediately presses here. Now this is a very important position, a very important move that white plays here.
Yeah.
Black rolls and jumps naturally. And I think in this case it seems to be natural that white continued to push along the 4th line. Ideally, white would like to connect up here. And so naturally black will be trying to stop that. So the whole sequence here seems to be very natural.
Yes.
Black plays a double hane. The joseki has white playing this first. Although actually white doesn't really have to. Even if white plays the cut here, let's assume something similar to the actual game, with black extending here.
Yeah.
If white cuts here next, black still has trouble deciding which way to play, because if black takes from this side, white will get a forcing move from the other side. So sometimes you can see players, although we know that the joseki says that white is going to push through and cut here with timing, it turns out white doesn't necessarily have to do it that way. And this is also a playable variation for white, with that extra stone giving white some extra aji there. Or of course, and there is a drawback to pushing through and cutting, so I'm going to talk about that now.
Yeah.
When white pushes through and cuts first, and then extends, in the case that black plays very forcefully, such as this kind of thing, then in some cases this cut here is going to become a bad exchange, because when white does stuff like this, white doesn't have...
No, it's not sente.
Doesn't have this forcing move.
Yeah.
And in this position, without the cut, if white gets to play stuff like this, just a hypothetical variation, then again, white would have this as a forcing move next, because black would not be completely alive. So there's a lot of potential that white has from this side if white does not play that cut. So if white is thinking that maybe black is going to play strongly in the center here, sometimes white will not play the cut and wait for black to play something like this, after which white can cut in a more timely fashion.
Should white be worried? Sorry.
Yeah. So actually, maybe it would have been better for white not to play that. And what was your question?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking, well, if black is very strong, if black is a very strong shape on the bottom side, should white be concerned at all about the 3 white stones on the bottom left?
Yes. So white played the cut here.
Yeah.
And then cut here. So this is the clever order of moves, because if white plays here now, white has this double atari waiting to happen. And so it's supposed to be a very clever order of moves, and for a long time this has been joseki. But it turns out, as I was saying, that in many cases, now white just ignores that clever order of moves and will be playing the cut later. And sometimes that works better. And so why not play the cut? This is actually, in this actual position when white extends here, I sort of doubt what black's extension here. So that has to do with what I was saying. Because if black plays very strongly here, this white stone is not such a strong stone. Black can play very, very strongly like this. And it's not actually very worried that white is going to save that stone. Like if white saves that stone, it might start with this one. It's very heavy. It's not, white's not going to get any eye space. And after playing this cut here, covering here is never going to be an attractive move for white. And so white might try stuff like this. It'll get into a big fight in the center. And it's going to be confusing, but I think it's playable for black. Like black has potential to counterattack on this side too. So white has a number of weak positions to deal with, and black always can come back to capture that white stone later. So I'm very strongly suggesting that black should probably play this way and play very strongly in the center.
Over pressure.
This obviously would be very weak because white would get the forcing move there and probably play some forcing moves here, and would be able to, well, there's a number of ways white can deal with these stones, so it's not as if white's really in trouble here.
Oh, okay.
But this maybe was slightly weak also. I would have preferred black. It's not the best shape when white plays hane on the top of two stones, but it's more speedy in moving out in that direction, and there's a cut here that white has to worry about. So it's a stronger way of playing. When black has this strength on the lower side, I think black should try be less focused on surrounding territory here and more focused on moving out into the center. So I sort of doubt this move. And where did white play here? White's trying to reduce this area and hopefully maybe get some potential to save that one stone. There's some logic in this way of playing. And white plays a double hane.
Yeah. Oh, there was an exchange here.
Oh, he played this exchange here.
Yeah.
So he played a double hane. Oh, he played here first. So yeah. Well, this is the head of two stones. It's usually a tesuji. It's okay, I guess.
On a style point.
Yeah. And white plays a double hane here. And so white has played this as a ladder breaking move. So when black cuts here, white and black has to put a stone in the corner. Now white can capture the one stone.
Yeah. That's what happened in the game, right? White was able to capture this black stone very nicely.
So how should black have played? That's actually not easy to say. It was like this.
Yeah, and then white
played one hane and played here. This is actually a very nice sequence here. And black, it might have been slightly better for black to capture immediately.
Just directly, right?
And white will connect here, and black can peep here. This is a bit better. It's less eye shape for white. In the game, white got some good eye shape just by capturing the one black stone. This would be slightly better for black.
And then maybe white still have to worry about that group, right?
It's not alive yet, no. So this would be a lot better for black. In the game, black played a cut here. And in this case, when white captured the one stone to connect, this is pretty much an eye. It's not always going to be an eye, but usually this is going to be an eye. White has a potential eye underneath. Also, when white peeps here, this is threatening to escape. In some cases, this will make an eye on the lower side.
Right.
So white has an abundance of eyes here, almost. It's close enough to two eyes that white should feel fairly safe. Fairly well played by white, I think. White has done everything that he sort of wanted to do in this fight. He pressed here, making thickness here. This whole position is supposed to be good for white. The computers give you a good score if you play this way. It's probably, as far as points is concerned, it's probably not so big. I don't know. Oh, you're going to ask the computer again?
Yeah.
But it's just a very effective thick shape.
Yeah, I think the computer also feels pretty good about white's position here. I mean, yeah, this is also a nice move to utilize in the real game, right?
Yeah.
Not only does it feel nice, it sets up.
There was a real use for it. It was making the ladder work.
It's not just eye candy.
Yeah. So black plays here. This is the kind of move that quite often computers don't like. They tend to like black playing something like this. But this is the normal move. It's erasing white's thickness. So I'd call it a normal move. And white plays here, black played here. White jumps into the 3-3 point. So that's this is pretty standard when black has played an extension, and if black plays here and cuts white off, this is actually the game variation.
Yeah.
And white slides here. If white gets to play another move here, then this black stone is in a bad place. It's sort of misplaced.
Right.
And so because of the fact that black has to follow up with this move to make a relatively small black territory, this is supposed to be good for white. So I think in most games you would expect black to cover here and white plays here. It's a very small difference. But then black would have sente and would have a solid territory here. I think I like this better. And in this game, I think black would use the sente to play this, another popular AI joseki.
Yeah.
But it sort of works well with the board position.
See this a lot. But in the game, it was the
and you know, looking at the game,
sequence.
just looking at the joseki variations that I see, I get the feeling that this should be good for white, especially when an AI assesses it. But if I look at the territories, we're seeing some fairly large black territories. Black has territory in various points, and white's territories aren't so big either. So from the human viewpoint, this is still a very close fight here.
Yeah, actually, we were talking about percentages just in the previous session, right? And we did mention that you know, those percentages don't necessarily represent margins, but maybe like confidence, right? The amount of confidence. So maybe, and it feels very, very good about a certain position they can handle, then the number will be very high. But that doesn't mean that, you know, the other player cannot come back from this. So
exactly. Well, it's nothing to get uptight about. 10%, like some 60% to 40%, can sometimes be a difference that professional players find hard to notice.
I mean, I lose games from like 95% winning, so it's
well, yeah, that happens too. But I mean that when a professional player feels that he definitely has a lead, it usually would be something like 70% winning percentage by an AI. You need 60% in that vicinity is still a pretty close game. As far as humans are concerned, it's supposed to be about even.
Yeah.
So this is the joseki variation, and when white covers here, if black plays a hane, then white will play something on the side, and it's very difficult to kill that white group. There's no way that black can really kill it. When black plays straight down, which is the game move, now black is threatening to kill white with this move. Now it's going to be more difficult. It's just the whole difference is the fact that white always has this forcing move when black plays a hane.
Right. That would be sente if black
it will always be sente. So although white will not immediately play it, white has that. So for instance, if this kind of thing happens, you can see that white will be able to live with this forcing move, and there's a white stone here.
Yeah.
So it's much more difficult for black to kill that white group. So the playing straight down is a valid strategy in that it's forcing white to protect the corner. And then black played this pincer. And I sort of expected white to push through and cut at this point. But white didn't, did he?
Let's have a look. No, not immediately, no.
Now if white pushes through and cuts here, black's position on the right side is a bit unstable. And white has various ways to attack it. But if black first answers on the right side, then moving out here is a very effective attack that white has. And black's wall there is a bit heavy. So this would be very scary for black, actually.
Yeah, black's a bit in danger even.
On the other hand, if black plays on this side, white has various ways to attack this. White can play an attachment here, or white can play a knight's move here. So the knight's move is more straightforward. If black plays an attachment underneath, white again has two ways to play. White can play to allow black to connect up, something like this, maybe something like this, and something like this, to make an attack on the entire black group. I sort of like the idea of white playing here. Black has to cut,
right.
White plays here.
And black's gonna
maybe cut. Now this is a ko, but white seems to have a perfect ko threat here.
Something local, right?
Yeah, something local to capture the whole black group on that side. So
Yeah.
this is good for white.
Yeah, that's not gonna end well, I think, for black, right? If the whole group is captured, it was black scoring to begin with. So
Yeah, well, black could say he sacrificed that group, but it's probably not.
So the unintentional sacrifice, right?
But to come back to this point, so what else does black do? Black plays here. The other move would be maybe this one.
Yeah.
White takes. If black plays Atari, it's going to be the same call.
Right.
If black connects, if black cuts, it's going to be a call anyway.
Yeah. So the only way to avoid that.
I think this is okay for white. I think I like this for white. And you know, white can use those two stones again by doing something like this on the other side. There's still some aji there.
Yeah, I mean, it works pretty well with the bottom right shape as well. Right? White could really accumulate a lot of
Something
points.
like that, yeah.
There
So I think this is looking okay for white. So that's one way white can do it. The other way would be to attach here. And this is a bit troublesome too. For instance, if black plays a hane on top, white can just pull back. And those three black stones look a bit unhealthy. They're dead. Yeah. If black
I know you're trying to be kind, but yeah, they're dead.
Black plays this way. If black connects, then it's a connection on the first line. Yeah. So this is just not. It's going to be difficult for black to make a living shape here. Otherwise, let's see. Otherwise, if black takes the one stone, again, white is going to be building some territory on the side. So this is another way white could do it. And again, white would be maybe sacrificing those two stones, but would have some aji on this side, and would be able to reduce black's territory. So the territory here, I think, is a very big territory for white. It's important because it's not only is it building a fairly square territory that is spreading out into the center of the board, it's also making this group more secure, which was an issue actually.
Right.
So I like this. So I would tend to want to push through and cut, but playing here is an interesting idea. I think the idea is that usually the way this would be used would be to play some forcing moves from this side, and say black does something like this, then to have the cut coming next in white's plan. But white actually played a hane on top.
Yeah.
Really fancy. This is starting to look sort of like AlphaGo.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And white connected.
Well, Mr. Lewis here.
Yeah. And black connected on this side.
Oh, he should be soon, right? He should come here at some point.
When black connected on this side, I think this was a bit weak. Because I would have rather to connect on this side, and maybe without that Atari. Yeah. And this would have made it more difficult for white to get any actual gain locally. So maybe white's going to get something in the center of the board, but it's not very definite. Like if white connects here, then black could play maybe here or here. There's a number of ways black can connect this, but even if we say black plays here, white's going to have to build something towards the center of the board. And with these black stones sort of sticking out and this black stone on the left side, it's not going to be all that easy. So black can calmly take the territory and should probably just let white do his thing there. But playing the Atari and playing the connection on this side, black is going for this territory, but it's giving white some momentum on the other side. When white gets that Atari, you can see the left side is starting to look like it's good for white too. And did black push now?
Yeah, and then...
And now white starts to attack. And black played this peep. Like this is the middle of three stones. But when this black stone is already being captured, it's not really working. It's not really functioning as the middle of three stones in this case.
Yeah.
So black should probably peep here. And although he's not going to play this one immediately, it's always a forcing move. The reason black doesn't play it immediately is because it's damaging to the corner.
It might hurt the corner.
Yeah, it's damaging. It just reduces the territory. It's not a big deal. But for the time being, black will leave it. Could probably play something on the top, or play this jump here. And there's a very small potential for black to put pressure on white in the center, for instance. If we get this kind of thing, it's not as if the center, this white group is 100% alive.
Mm-hmm.
It has one eye maybe, but not definitely two. So there is some potential there if black plays this peep. But this peep, it would be really good if this black stone was connected somehow. Then it would be threatening two cuts, and white would have a shortage of liberties. But the fact that this stone is being captured here makes it not a valid.
Less painful for white.
It's not working. It's not functioning as the center of three stones.
Yeah.
So this was not the ideal way for black to move out. In fact, the sooner black stops playing in this area, this would be sent in, would be a slight gain. So it's okay to play this one.
Yeah.
This one is sort of questionable, but at least it's putting pressure on white. Once black has played here, it's probably wise for black to maybe play away, something like this. Or if black wants to reduce white's territory there as much as possible, black could even play in that direction. A bit more dangerous, a bit more greedy, but if you think maybe the game is not going so well for black, sometimes it works to be greedy.
Yeah.
It makes the game more complicated. Because white might start to attack here. Objectively, it's not so good for black, but maybe white's going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So that's the story. This would be, I think this looks like it should be the better move, but of course it's simpler too, so it might be easier for white to get some extra profit here and then just run away with the game, because white does seem to have a lead in territory in this game.
So yeah, you might want to muddy the waters a little bit, right? When it feels that position is behind.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's not as if it's, again, I should say that there is a good deal of black's territory. So if black can weather all these weaknesses, it should still be a playable game. So black played here.
Yeah.
And white's play is very logical. Very nice play by white. White pushes through here, just probing to see how black replies, and then playing this peep here. So very textbook attack.
So aim at the cutting point.
Yeah, you can just imitate this guy and you can't go wrong. It's very good for what he's playing.
Yeah, it seems like white's just, going about the standard way, right? Aim at the weakness, and then
good shape, and he's getting points here, potential points in various areas. He's not actually trying to kill the black group, so he's going about it the right way then. He could have curled around once. That would be another way to do it. And if black extends, then the peep is even more effective. So this would be even better.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought black would be trying something else at this point. It'd be interesting to see what he thought. Maybe he just thought he was winning anyway.
Yeah.
So it's safer to play the peep immediately. It's good shape. And white cannot cut here because black just captures it.
Right. Then
so that would be easy. So white pushed here. Black connected. White played a hanging connection. Black played a honey here. White didn't really need to play that hanging connection. It might have been better to extend here.
Just keep attacking?
Yeah, to keep the pressure on. Not as if white's trying to kill black. But
Sure.
playing here and then capturing the left side, that was pretty good too. So it's not absolutely necessary to play this hanging connection, but it works because there's this big move that follows.
Yeah, like actually the goal of attacking is not always about killing the group, right? So and in this case, it's actually not easy to do so. But oftentimes when you can make profit from an attacking sequence, then you've succeeded, right?
Yeah, and then white closes off the corner. That's a big move. That's really big.
Yeah.
And it's threatening to take the whole side next. So black has to answer that. And then where did white play? White
did the two-space jump. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of white's moves are just making sense here. So they're very sensible. It looks like white has a lead now. I could try to count the territory. And white has more than 50 points. And black has something more like 40, 45. And white has this thickness here. I think white has more potential in the center of the board than black does. Black would probably follow up with either jumping or bumping against white first and then jumping. One of these two, I think, because the line here is the big line between the two territories. This black territory and this white territory. Yeah. So this is the line that counts. That matters.
The pivotal point. Right?
Yeah. So where did black play? black played this. This is also a big move in the center.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
But it's not as big as this one. White played this one, right? One more move. Move forward.
Oh yeah, extension. And then after that, White played the attachment.
Yeah, I'm ignoring that exchange. White didn't have to play it, but it looks like it's sent it.
Mm-hmm.
So this attachment is a very important move. And black played here.
Yeah, and then looks like White's also reducing black in the same time.
So the difference, any move in this direction. So black pulled back and white played here. Black curled. White extended. Yeah. So this move is very effective in reducing blacks, and you can see now the knight move there, which looked so great just before. It's not so effective now.
Mm-hmm.
So this was maybe the last chance for black to keep the game relatively close. If black had played something in this direction. Now it's hard to say what exactly the correct move is. Like this kind of move would be the normal way of playing.
Yeah.
Or jumping. The reason I don't jump immediately is because white will immediately play these forcing moves against black. Mm-hmm. And it will be a slight cave-in for black's territory. If black wants to play slightly more aggressively, black could play an attachment on top of white.
Yeah.
This might be a good idea. And if white plays a hane, then black can pull back.
And all of a sudden, black's looking pretty promising there.
Yeah, black has much more space than black did before. So this is the line that black wants to cover. The line that black wants to draw to start making his territory.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's
actually not so easy going there.
Yeah, like if white plays a hane, black can immediately cut. If white plays here, black can play the next move. We see a fairly nice black territory shaping up. So this way it would have been still close, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, white got this key point. This was probably the decisive point in this game.
Yeah, it seemed like a really significant moment, right? Because not only was white, building in the bottom right, white was also heading in the direction of black's central territory there.
And we see a position here where white has already established some territory in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And if black surrounds territory, white is going to surround territory. It's going to be a trade-off. If black surrounds, white gets more.
Mm-hmm.
If black invades, then black's territory is going to disappear.
Yeah.
So one or the other, like maybe this way. So black cannot surround his own territory while reducing white's territory. That just sort of demonstrates that this was a very important point.
Mm-hmm.
I think the game is pretty much decided.
Yeah, I think after that, of course, you can still see the whole game for those of you who are curious about the entire context of this match. You can go on the OGS server, and we did record this under the SWA1 account. Of course, if anyone needs a link, I can also send you the link. But it's going to be there. But I think afterwards, there weren't so many things that changed the outcome. Right?
On the whole, I think white played very well. No obvious mistakes, and he was noticing the important points, the big positional plays in this game. He was seeing them, and so the direction of play, as you might say, it was correct.
I think black also had chances, right? He could have.
Locally, black was not making any big mistakes until black played this move in the middle of 3 stones. It didn't work. So it wasn't a big difference.
Yeah.
It was just the final attachment here, which was making a big difference in the size of both sides' territories. So it was just every time we got into a position where it wasn't quite clear where the next move should be, white was making very good choices every time.
Yeah,
quite impressive game that white played.
Yeah, definitely, and of course the winner of this will go on to clinch the 3rd place for the Singaporean 7th title match. We do have more coming up tomorrow because the grand finale of this tournament and indeed the week will be played out tomorrow afternoon. I think we'll start at 1 p.m. and then if we go to the 3rd game, that will follow. So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, in the final itself, Lin Youzhi, the 6th dan player from Singapore, actually both of them are from Singapore. So it's not the Malaysian 7th dan title match, but Elin has got it all to do. He's 1-0 behind, but as we've seen from various title matches, it can happen. 1-0 is never the score you want to start, but you can still finish strong from there. The game, though, is already on OGS, so if you do want to take a look at the game, before you head over to the Mandarin commentary session tomorrow morning at 9:30 here in the auditorium with Mr. Xu Jinbo from Thailand, you can feel free to do that. From my advice, it would be great to do the reading for the lecture, which is something I never do in real life, but it'll be nice. So we will be bringing you more on that game tomorrow. For now, before we're gonna do a prize giving ceremony. I think I'll hand it over to James. But before we do that, Mr. Redmond, it's been such an honor to commentate with you this week. I know this is your final session of the week now,
Yes.
but I think we've really learned so much, from your wonderful insight, and I think we'll see this published on YouTube. But in the future, when we get back to the States, we'll do more sessions together, right?
Yeah, more AlphaGo games.
Yeah, back to the old normal, huh?
Yes.
All right. Well, I would suggest a big round of applause for Mr. Redmond now, but off to you, James.